Chloe wants to lose 10 kilograms, which is around 22 pounds. She's walking. She doesn't eat meat or gluten for medical reasons. She does some squats, some other workouts. What more can she do? Chloe, first of all, if you want to lose weight, and I'm talking now, not just to Chloe, but to everybody out there, you need to be in a calorie deficit. You need to be in a calorie deficit. Yes, the foods you're eating absolutely matter. Food quality, all of those things. That's all giving information to our bodies. Yes, walking is amazing for fat burning and so many other things. But your body is not going to burn fat, which is what we need to do to lose weight, and keep it off, if you're not in some kind of a calorie deficit. But let's back up. So she was like, what more can I do? So let's back up a little bit and look at the information Chloe's given me. So Chloe said she doesn't eat meat or gluten for medical reasons. She gets 10,000 steps most days. She does some other workouts. So I love that you're not consuming gluten, because not just gluten, grains in general can be inflammatory for a lot of people. So I don't consume gluten. I don't have celiac. But I definitely am aware that gluten and grains in general make me bloated, make me uncomfortable. I've seen this time and time again. I haven't had them in well over 10 years, other than maybe the occasional rice in sushi. But when I say to grains, I'm not just talking wheat. I'm talking oats. I'm talking quinoa. I'm talking all the things. I'm not saying you shouldn't eat those foods, and I'm not saying oats and quinoa are bad foods at all. I am saying they don't, especially the quinoa, does not work for me. Yes, they're plant protein. So I commend you for giving up gluten, and I would suggest look at how you're giving it up. Sometimes there are gluten-free products, like gluten-free breads and stuff, that are loaded with junk and have a lot of sugar added. So I would look at that as well, and maybe look into giving up grains entirely for a while. Again, not that it's going to make you lose weight, but it may reduce inflammation and just make you feel better all over. Now, I'm curious about not eating meat for medical reasons. Because I really haven't heard of meat allergies. So, in fact, I had a friend growing up back before food allergies were such a thing, who actually did have tons of food allergies, but she was not allergic to meat. Like, she could eat beef, she could eat chicken. Like, she wasn't allergic. I think she couldn't eat shellfish. That's a pretty common allergy. And she was allergic to grains, but she could eat except rice. So I'm curious to know more about that, because here's the thing. Not only do we want to get into a calorie deficit to burn fat, but we also want to do this in a way that we can maintain and possibly even build muscle, not just for aesthetics, although that's what makes us look toned, but for health and longevity. As Dr. Gabrielle Lyon says, muscle is the organ of longevity. People don't talk about this enough, how important muscle is to aging well, to staying healthy as we get older. So to get into a calorie deficit, so you want to be in a calorie deficit, you also want to be making sure your body's getting adequate protein to build and maintain muscle. And so the secret to losing weight is getting your protein up and your calories down. And I feel like I need to turn that itself into a video. Here's the secret to losing weight. There you have it. But anyway, so I'm not saying you can't do that without eating meat, but it's going to be harder, because the plant-based protein sources, the lentils, the quinoa, all of those things, or the nuts and seeds. I'm not saying any of these are bad foods, but you're typically getting more calories for less protein. Don't get me wrong, I love nuts, but nuts are a blend of fat, carbs, and protein. People say, oh yeah, peanut butter is a great protein source. I consider it a fat source. Don't get me wrong, I love it, but it's more of a fat source. Quinoa, oatmeal, things like that, you're going to get protein, but it's going to come in the form of more calories from the carbs. So when you're looking at these protein dense foods like meat, fish, eggs, it does make things easier. So Claire, I just encourage you to look at what is your how many calories you're consuming in a day. You can't figure out exactly how many you're burning, but I do have you want to burn, increase your activity with things like walking that don't raise your cortisol levels, but it'll just give you that nice steady fat burn while you're decreasing your calories you're consuming. And there's some excellent information in my book, both of my cookbooks, but the latest one, Happier, Healthy, and Hotter, definitely has more of the weight loss information in the front of the book about how to figure out a great calorie goal and protein goal, and then you can kind of take it from there. So what more can you do? Well, there's always more that we can do. Sometimes it's simplifying things, sometimes it's not making ourselves crazy, but if you're not losing weight, you're walking, you're eating well, but if you're not in a calorie deficit, you're just not going to lose weight. It's that simple. So drop any questions in the comments and I'll see you soon.